13 straight unders by this NBA team in a particular situation. We'll go over that as our stat of the day. We got you covered with the sneaky stat of the day. We got actually quite a bit of NHL and NBA to talk about, and we will go back to the NBA for an Unbreakable sports record Hall of Fame nominee. This one is I stumbled upon this one this morning, Steve. Literally this morning was like, wow, that's a great one to talk about. So we'll go to the NBA. We'll talk about a single game record from Adrian Dantley of all people. So we'll talk about that. Let's just get right into it, Steven. Let's go to your sneaky play of the day. This guy was when he got to the Mavericks, he was an over for a couple games, and then he was a big-time under, and now he's back to an over again. So what do we know about Daniel Gafford here?
Well, he's on a hot streak recently. In the last 4 games, his point total tonight set at 10.5. It was 9.5, but it moved up a point over the course of the day. But he still cleared even the 10.5 in his last 4 games. What's crazy, he hasn't missed a field goal in any of those 4 games. He's perfect 100%. He's just missed more free throws than he has shots from the field. And he scored 15 against Golden State, the lone game against them this season. And as you see there as well, the Warriors, they're not doing the greatest against centers. They're an undersized team, allowing the 7th most points to opposing centers in the last 30 days. So it sets up for a nice spot here on a low total where he could clear it pretty relatively easily.
Yeah, his minutes are up. I know Lively was banged up coming off the bench. So Gafford's been kind of starting and getting just a lot more field goal attempts. And this could be one of those where they just haven't quite caught up. The books are still using his averages, not really his opportunities. Because when you say he hasn't missed a field goal, I mean, he's not going 2 for 2. He's going like 7 for 7 from the field and 5 for 5 from the field. Like he's getting plenty of shot attempts to get over this one. So Daniel Gafford is going to be the sneaky play of the day. And for the stat of the day, we just keep these Indiana Pacer games, man. A lot changed at the All-Star break for this team. Halliburton struggled shooting, and now all of a sudden they're an under team. So what do we know about the Pacers?
Well, this is one that we actually touched on, I think, for a stat of the day a couple of weeks ago. And the streak has just continued where when the total is under 240, the Pacers have went under the total in 13 straight games. And we have a really low total tonight since they're playing Chicago. The total set at 229 tonight. But the Bulls are a very slow-paced team. I think they were dead last for a majority of the season. I think they're like 25th or something like that now. But the Pacers second fastest, still the second fastest pace in the league. But when the total's set under 240, it's been a cash every time. The Pacers go under the total in the game total, 13 straight Pacer games.
I talked about Halliburton. I mean, this guy is 3-point shooting since the All-Star game is like 20%. Is awful. Like that's part of the reason why they're going under, is because he can't shoot the 3-pointer anymore. So very, very interesting stuff from the Indiana Pacers. So good stuff. All right, guys, couple things. We have a 5% NBA play that is up 5-0 in last 5 NBA plays. I hit 5% play on Friday, laid off Saturday. We hit another one on Sunday, and I sat out the last couple nights in NBA because I saw this one was coming, and we got a good enough line to make it a 5% play. So that is up. We're having an insane run, 13-2 in our last 15 plays. We're up 44 units this year. Yeah, it's been a pretty nuts run. So if you want to use the promo code Andy30, gets $100 off a 30-day pass. This is the day to do it, guys. We got big plays up for this weekend. We have a 4% play up in UFC. We have this 5% play, and we have multiple plays for the Players Golf Championship. We got 1 big play and then 3 additional head-to-heads. So this is going to include every play for the next 30 days, $100 off a 30-day pass. Absolutely no better time to take advantage of that at Andy Lang at WagerTalk.com. Steve, you've been on a nice little run yourself. You were saying that you dropped from the number 1 to the number 2 spot. Like, oh, what a bummer, man.
Yeah, over the last
on that run.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. Over the last 30 days, I've been holding strong at number 1 over at Sports Memo across all sports. I dipped down to number 2. We were talking about it earlier. A couple of heartbreakers recently. That Grayson Allen one, especially, where I had the
That's
under
an
on his points
all-timer.
plus.
It's an
Yeah,
all-timer.
I had his under in points plus rebounds, and he grabs a rebound with 1.1 second left on the clock. Just it was a
On
heartbreaker,
a
and like I told you,
heave. On
yeah,
on a big heave. The ball had to land in one itty-bitty spot on the court for him to grab that rebound. And he happened to be standing right where the ball bounced to. 1 in a million, man.
yeah, it was a rough break, but I'm still 15-9 NBA run. Like I said, number two over at Sports Memo across all sports the last 30 days, and I have a 4% NBA play up. It comes with a 2% plus money play as well, so two plays in that package, and it's over at sportsmemo.com. And I also have the code SS3 and get you $20 off a 3-day pass. Any 3-day pass over at Sports Memo, $20 off instantly using the code SS3.
Nice. We just got told that there's going to be a special tomorrow. It's going to be Customer Appreciation Day tomorrow. We can put up a play for $5. It's not going to be a 5% play, but any other play we can put up. So let's cash today on the 5% play. We got Steve's 4% play up as well, and then tomorrow we'll have other plays out, and one of them will be $5. So should be a good run of plays. Very, very excited for UFC, golf. Hit lacrosse yesterday, so really happy with how we've been. Let's go to the NBA. Actually, we'll start in NHL. I'll get us started here in the NHL, Steve, and I'll just give everyone I have a 2% client play that's up. I mean, we're just going to Braden Shen to not have a point. We just keep cashing on this one. All access clients know we've just kept hitting on this one. You see that big streak that he had here kind of in the middle of the season, and he's just been I hate saying ice cold on a hockey play because it feels like just like the ultimate pun, but ice cold. 0 for 9 in his last 9 games. And the hilarious part about his last game, Steve, was I did this write up where I was like, well, he's playing the Boston Bruins. Tough matchup. You know, it'd be hard pressed to see them scoring a lot of goals. And then they beat the brakes off of the Bruins like 5-1. And he still didn't have a point. So it was one of those, every time a goal goes in, you're just like, oh, God, it had to have been him, or an assist. Like, no, he wasn't even on the ice. So Braden Shen is just not getting it done. Now he plays the Kings. The Kings have given up 11 goals in their last 6 games. They're coming off a 3-0 shutout win. They're playing really good defense, and the goaltending is pretty good. So I'm just going to keep riding Braden Shen. I will say we're getting close to this being unsustainable. I'll play him tonight, and if he doesn't get one, I will probably lay off because 10 games in a row without a point is just a lot. But you got a struggling Blues team against a Kings team. That's really good. So there's a 2% client play for you. You have anything in the NHL that you like?
Yeah, I actually have a couple. I'm looking at Connor McDavid again. We talked about this one a couple weeks ago, and his point total tonight is set at 1.5. And like I've said before, I usually like to stay when I'm going over a point. I'd like to go half, but 1.5 for this guy, it just makes sense when he's playing at home. He's averaging 2.2 points per game at home games, and He's had 2+ points in 20 of 29 home games this season. He's had 2+ in 3 of his last 5 against the Capitals, and his lone game against them this season, he had 4 points in that game.
Wow.
So it's a nice spot for him tonight. It's basically you just ride him in the home games, and you know this Edmonton offense that they're able to put up a ton of goals, and he's involved in a lot of it. He's one of the best, and probably the best. So he's one of the guys I can actually rely on to get to go over 1.5 points.
I tell you, man, I struggle with the 1.5 points because I've done well by not taking guys or taking Panarin to go under, but you can't argue this one. It's that home deal is pretty impressive, man. That is pretty awesome. So yeah, nice job on Connor McDavid. Washington kind of sucks at this point. So there was a couple of interesting streaks you can look at. There's 3 guys, the longest streaks that's going on right now. Luke and Luke and Evangelista.
That religion?
Yeah, it does look like that. So, let's see. So he is. I don't know. I probably stay away from this one. He's playing Winnipeg. You never want to take a guy to do well against Winnipeg. Those guys are all more capable than giving up a 0 or 1 or anything like that. The other guy, Nathan McKinnon, no surprise there, and then Quinn Hughes to have a point. He's got a fairly decent matchup. Colorado's not top 10. They've been decent recently, but Quinn Hughes could be a guy. Unfortunately, those are all juiced pretty good. So you might be priced out of it if you're taking the over. Although Luke, the evangelicals, uh, is plus 130. So there was a shots on goal streak worth noting. This one's really interesting to me because like he's been going over, but he's laid it on 2 quite a bit. Minus 145 though on a guy that's on this big of a streak, and he's going up against Nashville as 20th. Seems like actually fairly decent value on a shots on goal. I love the 1.5 shots on goal. So the minus 145 is pretty good on that one. Any other NHL plays you were looking at?
I actually have a shot on goal one in that same game, the Winnipeg Nashville, and it's Kyle Connor. He's had 4 in his last 2 games, but look at what he's done against Nashville in his career and this season in particular. He's went over. Now it's sitting at 2.5 shots on goal, negative 150. But when you put him up against Nashville, he's went over this total in 7 of 9 his last 9 games against them, averaging 6.1 per game. And look at
Wow.
what he's done against them this season: 7 and 6 shots against them. And even in the past, I think he had a game where he had 11 shots against Nashville at one point, in a prior season. It's a little juicy, but based on his history against the Predators, I feel like it's a good shot for him to go over tonight.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Let's move to NBA here. It's 9 games tonight, so there's a lot of questionable ones here. Steve, I did a free play. I was looking at Nick Claxton on his PRA. He's been flying over this one. He's gone not only gone over 22 and a half, but gone well over 22 and a half. 3 of the games Cam Thomas has played. 3 of the games Cam Thomas has not played. But I guess this line is low because he hasn't really done it all season long, and Orlando's been a good defense, but he's just been getting it done in all the categories. He's had 10 rebounds in like 4 out of 6 games. He's getting the points. His shot attempts are up and it's fine. He's definitely getting plenty of minutes. And this Brooklyn Orlando game, neither of these teams are great, so I got to believe blowout's probably not on the table unless Brooklyn just comes out and is really bad. But so I got Nick Claxton to go over his points, rebounds, and assists. I wouldn't be minded just points, but points, rebounds, and assists is a category. So, any NBA plays you're looking at?
Yeah, I actually there's an under that I really love tonight, and under it's a Brandon Ingram, and it's under 25.5 points plus rebounds. It's the category leaving the assists out with some of these guys that I've had some success with, and really unders have turned my NBA season around since I started focusing solely on player prop unders. That's really where I've went on this recent NBA run. If you look at Ingram, he's been ice cold recently, only 14, 24, and 15 points plus rebounds in his last 3 games. You've got the Cavs allowing the least points and the 4th least rebounds to opposing shooting guards over the last 30 days, and he had 24 against them in his lone game this season. And you got 2 teams here that great defenses and 18th and 21st in pace of play. So we're looking at a slow, grinded out type of game here. Points will be at a premium, and he's been in a funk recently. So I'm going to be going under on Ingram tonight on his points plus rebounds.
I like that one. That's a good one. Any other NBA plays you were looking at for tonight?
Yeah, it's similar to McDavid. I'm looking at DeRozan tonight over 23.5 points. It's the opposite. Where you ride McDavid at home, you ride DeRozan in road games. He's been hot recently. He's cleared 23.5 points is what I'm looking at for DeRozan tonight. In 12 of his last 15 games, he's averaging 26.1 per game overall. But if you look at his road games, 9
Yeah.
straight on the road clearing this total. And then you got Indiana allowing the 4th most points to opposing small forwards on the season. It's a nice spot for him here, and the Bulls need his offense. That he's going to get a ton of shots tonight. And when he just thrives, he's one of those guys. He just thrives on the road. Some of these guys thrive at home, but DeRozan's a guy that really thrives away from home.
It's so weird. It's so
It
weird.
really
Like
is.
and this is not a short sample size. Like on him being, on him being like good on the road. Like he's just been doing this like for a while. So yeah, one of those where
And
we would have cashed night in night out if we'd have just stuck to it. So
it's kind of counterintuitive too, because he's the type of player he would think he'd want to shoot a lot at home. You know what I
hmm
mean? But for whatever reason, he just thrives on the road. 9 straight games, you can't argue with that. And it's a pretty low total when he's going to be the guy getting the bulk of the shots in Chicago.
all right. Any other NBA plays you were looking at for tonight?
That's those are the two that I had circled for tonight
Okay.
for this one.
All right. Uh, Steve, you and I were talking a little bit earlier. We'll get to the sports betting or the sports record Hall of Fame nominee. It was really interesting. I recorded it. We're going to be releasing a bunch of videos on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We just got a new website. If you guys haven't seen, go check out the new website. It's slick. I love it. Um, like I just recorded a video with Kelly. We were talking about losing money off of unsustainable win streaks, and then we recorded the video, and now you could say I'm on an unsustainable win streak. So I was like 13-2. I get it. Like awesome. We're gonna brag about it, but like if we really want to be honest about it, it's a little worrisome. And so I've on purpose pulled back on plays like 2 days in a row with no NBA plays. 2 days in we before that we had 2 days in a row without NHL plays. I love our plays, but I don't know what's your theory on this? Because in the video I recommended like not going crazy, like with upping the unit size or like upping the volume. So I've tried to pull back on the volume. Like I think we've had like one play per day the last couple days. What's your opinion on when you go on these winning streaks?
Well, we've talked about this before, and a lot of people they'll start firing away more units when they're on a hot streak because they feel like they're on a roll and they just can't lose. But I mean, when you're doing multiple sports, it's nice sometimes to, I'm doing college basketball player props, NHL and NBA right now. So I only have two NBA plays tonight. The other night I had an NHL and an NBA. It's kind of like I like to mix and match it and not and really just go with what feels like my top plays are the only ones that I'm going to put as client plays, obviously. And when you're on a hot streak like that, I mean, I just keep kind of rolling, sticking to what's been working. You know what I mean? But I don't start upping the units, and I don't go overboard with too many plays and force plays in every sport on every night just because there are plays available in those sports.
Yeah, I mean we got a 5% play in the NBA. I've only had two plays since Friday, so I feel like I've done a pretty decent job of being responsible with the units and with the plays and everything. So I don't know. That it's interesting because yeah, you're right. Listen. I've done it many times. You're riding that hot streak. Like I can't miss, and then oh, yep, you can miss. Uh, so
And it's amazing how quickly you can give it back. You know what I mean?
oh
It's amazing how when you're
oh
when you're riding hot, you start building it up, and then you start losing, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's very easy to just to give it all right back when you get cold. So what I do too is if I'm on a hot streak like that and I start to see myself cooling off, I might take a day off on a certain sport. You know what I mean? Really just focus
yeah
on what's worked for me in that sport. And that's the thing is now as I'm riding trends in different sports, so it's been working for
yeah.
me, especially in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only doing one play in UFC. I think this UFC card has got several fights that are going to trip people up. So we just did. There's one UFC play and that's it. We're coming off of two plays, but we do have bare knuckle. That's this Friday. So pretty excited about that. But yeah, like all access clients, you'll see we're gonna have really really confident plays, but there's just not going to be a ton of them because we've been on such a hot streak. So we're going to tread carefully, and hopefully the wins keep coming in. But yeah, we've tried to space them out, and that's kind of the plan of attack with where we're at. So all right, let's take a look at the nominee for the Unbreakable Sports Record Hall of Fame. Hit the like button, guys. Leave us a comment. Tell us if there is an Unbreakable Sports Record Hall of Fame nominee that you would like to come on the show and do with us. I still haven't heard from Drake Dimes. Drake, my
Where are you,
man.
Drake?
Drake, we
Come
want to
on,
talk
man.
about Wilt Chamberlain, man. So yeah, leave us a comment. We'll get you hooked up. You can come on and talk about the plays, and also tell me your thoughts on coming off of one of these winning streaks. Like, there's ways around it. Like, you don't have to give it all back. That's the thing. Like, if you're disciplined and if you're smart and if you're patient, yeah, you can keep extending it. But yeah, let us know your thoughts on it. I mean, it can be hard to lay off sometimes, man. When you're seeing it so
Yeah.
well, you're just like, oh man, they got 9 NBA games. I'm putting up 5 plays.
Yeah, and it's easy to start adding extra plays, and and then you fall into that
Yup.
trap, and then the next day and you're like, that was just a tough night. You know what I mean? We'll bounce back tomorrow
I'll get
night.
it
You know
all
what I mean?
back.
It's a classic. I feel like every gambler has these tales. Every sports bettor has these tales. We've talked about a lot of
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely. So, all right, we're going to the NBA for the Unbreakable Sports Record Hall of Fame. Most free throws made in one game. Adrian Dantley made 28 free throws in one game in the NBA. What's even more crazy is he made the second most amount of free throws. Isn't this a trend? Have you noticed some of these sports records that we've been going over? Like, the same guy has like the top spot or the top two spots. So the free throws though this is a really, really strange one here. So 28 free throws. He also has 27. Anthony Davis is and Michael Jordan are at 26. Dwight Howard's at 25. Yeah, I guess Anthony Davis is the most recent one, but that was 2019. Giannis just did it last year at 24. James Harden, Booker, DeRozan, Durant, LeBron, Allen Iverson. So I guess what are your thoughts here on this one? Adrian Dantley made 28 free throws in one game.
Well, what's amazing about it is it was very accurate, 28 for 20. Had to look up how he had 29 attempts, so he only missed
That's
one.
amazing.
Guy was deadly, and I don't know if you saw this, but he had a little routine where in between free throws, he'd actually would run out to a little jog out to the 3-point line and come back to the line before the next shot.
I didn't see that.
He had this quirky little routine that he did. I saw it on video today. And yeah, you're right. There is a trend here going with these guys. I'm trying to, for the life of me, I can't think of the other player recently. It was an NBA one. I feel like as well though, where the guy was like, he was in like the top 10, like 5 or 6 times in that category. It seems like that some of these
Yeah.
guys just own some of these categories from back in the day. But yeah, like you said, the most recent was AD, right, with 26 in 2019. It's not pretty close to actually challenging this record. And another interesting, funny thing that I found too is that Boston sports writer Bob Ryan would actually, like, he was like famous for calling big free throw games Dantleys, or even free throws
Oh,
themselves. He would,
really?
yeah, he would. I came across this too. He writes for the Boston Globe, and he would call free throws Dantleys. He would call a guy had a ton of free throw games. He'd call it a Dantley, and that's how famous Adrian Dantley was for hitting these 3-pointers, and especially that year. And you bring up Wilt with the Drake Dimes record. I think Wilt is actually had 28 as well. I don't know if he's on the modern list, but I think that Dantley had tied Wilt Chamberlain at 28 as well.
So how do you get to 28 makes here? Because my first thought was, oh, it would be like someone like Steph Curry, who's like milking it at the end, or some guy that makes a bunch. But look at this list, man. This is not full of guards. I mean, you got Harden and Booker, but Dantley, Davis, like Jordan. These are like bigs or power
Yeah,
forwards for the most part. So I guess if you're looking at, I mean, look at these, Dantley, Davis, and Dwight Howard. Those are four of your top five. So I guess it's a big man, isn't it? Like where they go
that's what.
hack a whatever.
Yeah, and you can't. And so with some of these guys, you can't get away with that. Like, some of these guys are pretty accurate from the free throw line. Anthony Davis, but so it is. I think it will take a big man to break this record, but I feel like with a player just having 26 and back in 2019, you don't have to go that far back where Davis would have gotten to the line a couple more times. He might have cleared this one.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, does this go in there? Can we have somebody that would make 28 attempts? I mean, just do the math. It's seven. Uh, it's seven made threes or seven made free throws per quarter. So, what do you think? 28. Is this unbreakable?
I I don't think it makes it. I think that in my opinion, I think that just because we've seen, you 24 out of Giannis in 2023, AD with the 26 just in 2019. I think, somebody I think we brought up Wemby in the last time that we did the Unbreakable Sports Record, and he could be a guy that, over the course of his career, maybe he could get to the free throw line. He's a guy that pops into mind where once his minutes go up, he could potentially get to the free throw line a ton. It's going to take a big man, it seems like, to get the job done, though, because, like you said, a guy like Steph Curry, he's so accurate, but he doesn't just have that contact,
Mm-hmm.
shooting on the outside that you're going to see from a big man. I do think it's unlikely, but I don't. It's not a Gretzky record. It's not a Jordan record. It's not a, you know what I mean? It's not like one of those ones that we've covered before where,
Yeah,
I think it can be broken.
I agree. Anthony Davis did it in 2019. Giannis was in 2023. Harden was in 2019. Booker was in 2017. Harden was another one that came to mind. Now, I will say the NBA has done a nice job of reining in some of these free throw and nonsensical calls since the All Star break. I listened to a podcast where they were talking about this, where they were like, they obviously have done something because the free throws are way down. There's the unders; those are way down. Um, I'm sorry, the amount of games going under have gone way up, and you'd watch, and they're
Yeah.
just not calling a lot of those ticky tack calls on, where there's a little bit of contact on that the offense initiates, and they give him like bad free throws. It's just you're like, just give him 2 points. Why even bother play that possession? So yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it makes it. You get an overtime or a double overtime game, like it could absolutely happen. So I'm with you that it's impressive. I would have guessed it would have been more. If you would have just said like what's the record, I think I would have gone over 30. So I'm actually kind of surprised that nobody's broken 30 like in overtime games, like playoff games, things like that. So I'm with you. I don't think it makes it. So
It's funny you mentioned that because when I first saw the record for today, I thought that it would probably be in the 30s as well. On
mhm.
first glance, I didn't think that 28 would be the record. It's an interesting record. He's a character, that's for sure. If you check out that video of how his little free throw routine in between free throw shots, um,
I
but
did
I
see
think
that.
I think it is breakable though. I don't think he makes the list
Yeah,
for us.
just misses out. Just misses out, Adrian Dantley. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it for us. One more time, hit the like button, please, and go grab that 5% NBA play that is up at WagerTalk.com. Steve, tell them what you have up and where we can find you at.
Yeah, I have a 4% NBA best bet over at sportsmemo.com. Like I said, it comes with a 2% plus money play. You get two plays in one package. Running hot in hoops right now, so go check that out and use that code SS3. Get yourself $20 off a 3-day pass and check me out for 3 days.
All right, guys, good luck on all your plays. We'll see you over next time on the Road to Millions.
Good luck, guys.